minutes past the hour. You know, when it comes to America's military secrets, there may be nothing that tops Area 51 and the intrigue surrounding how secret it is. So secret, the government doesn't even acknowledge that the site exists.
That secrecy, of course, has made it fertile ground for conspiracy theories. Our next guest, an investigative journalist, has written the book Area 51, an uncensored history of America's top secret military base. Her name is Annie Jacobsen, and she joins us now. In part, the government being so secret about what Area 51 is was fertile ground for a lot of the conspiracy theorists to try to talk about the things that were happening there. What is Area 51, and what did you find?
Well, Area 51 is a secret military facility out in the desert in southern Nevada, just north of Las Vegas. It's been open since 1951, hence the name Area 51. It's set in America's only atomic bombing range, and during the 50s, we actually set off nuclear bombs there above the ground. And then on the other side of the fence, over at Area 51, the CIA began testing their earliest spy planes there. So the very famous U-2 spy plane was flight tested there, so was the Ox Cart. And I interview a lot of the pilots and the engineers and the mechanics who worked there. My book is really the secret inside story of this legendary group of cold warriors, all of whom never spoke before.
So all of this, I mean, Area 51 was basically created to be able to do this, to be able to test the untestable and have it not be known. What was the importance of the location and the secrecy surrounding it?
Well, because the atomic bombing range was there, they knew that this place was federally restricted and no one would go there. So when the CIA wanted a place to build its U-2, its spy plane, it said that's the perfect place. No one will look there inside an already restricted facility. So the base has different areas of classification and all these different secret areas, which I touch upon throughout the book.
25 different areas, Area 1 through 25, where all of these different things, different people working at all of them. You met some of the now old men who why did they want to tell you the story about the secret things that were happening there?
Well, in 2007, the CIA declassified a big load of documents on one of their spy planes. So they had been secret for 50 years. That plane was developed in 1957 in the beginning. So the men were able to talk about it for the first time ever, and sort of in the final chapter of their lives, able to say, this is what I did, this is how I kept America safe and secure.
Yeah, this is amazing, because you say that this Ox Cart that you're talking about that was declassified was really the beginning, the first prototype for what then went on to be the Air Force Blackbird. And so and this is amazing because they were saying that when people said, oh, I think what I'm seeing is lights that we've never seen before, these must be UFOs because they don't match any aircraft that we have. This was part of these experimental planes that the CIA was working on?
That's right. I mean, imagine being a commercial airline pilot flying at 25,000 feet, or a passenger in that plane, and you look up and you see this plane go by at Mach 3. The CIA's plane went Mach 3 in the 1960s at 90,000 feet. And people would say, my God, it must be a UFO.
What about the moon landing? We've seen the pictures of the craters at Area 51 from the testing. The nuclear testing went there. The secrecy from the government allowed some of the conspiracy theorists to say, look, that's where they actually did the moon landing.
That it wasn't real, that it was taped here in Area 51.
That's right. And like so many parts of Area 51 that the conspiracy theorists have glommed onto, there's a thread of truth. The moon landing is one of them.
But they did train there, right? The astronauts did train there, is that true?
They did, because the craters that are made by an atomic bomb have the same geography as the craters on the moon. One of the guys in my book, Ernie Williams, was the tour guide for the astronauts, and they practiced going up and down these craters.
What does the government say about this? They deny this, right? Or they don't talk about it?
Well, the government will still not say that Area 51 exists. So in any of the documents that have been declassified, the word Area 51 is redacted, it's blacked out, and they just refer to it as the test facility.
That almost seems silly at this point. I want to ask you about Roswell, of course, what happened at Roswell, New Mexico, the most famous UFO incident in the country, of course. This was that crash landing in 1947. What happened?
Well, I write about that in the very end of my book, and I encourage you guys to start on page 1 so you can so you can get the landscape. I will tell you, but you've got to get the landscape of what's going on out there, because it's almost impossible to believe some of the things that really happened out there. And one of my sources, of these 74 sources that I interviewed, all of whom use their real names, except for one source, he tells me what he worked on at Area 51 starting in 1951, and that involved the Roswell crash remains. And what he tells me is that it was actually a Russian craft. It was not from outer space.
I know, it's amazing what they say about what the Russians were doing and why people felt this was, you know, this whole War of the Worlds, really. It's very interesting. We will encourage people to read it. I couldn't put it down. We picked it up before we even knew you were coming here.
It's riveting. It really is riveting.
But you know, you have a lot of great information in there because, again, you're not a conspiracy theorist. You're an investigative journalist trying to get to the bottom of some of this that's been mystique for so long. Annie Jacobsen, great to talk to you. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to see you.
Well, your top stories coming up now. The new bin Laden, a source saying that al-Qaeda has actually picked its new temporary leader, Saif al-Adel, an Egyptian and former Special Forces officer who's wanted already and on the FBI's most wanted list in connection with the 1998 U.S. embassy bombings in Kenya and Tanzania. Right now, they believe he is hiding somewhere in Afghanistan. New controversy for the newly minted Republican presidential candidate Newt Gingrich. Politico reporting that Gingrich had a revolving credit account with Tiffany's for between $250,000 and $500,000 when his wife worked as a congressional staffer back in 2005 and 2006. A spokesman for Gingrich refused to say whether the credit account was now paid off. And Maria Shriver, among the A-list celebrities turning out for yesterday's taping of Oprah Winfrey's final shows in Chicago. You're looking at some of the first pictures of the former First Lady with Oprah last night. Shriver did not take questions about her separation from Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Maria Shriver responding to husband Arnold Schwarzenegger's love child confession, calling it painful and a heartbreaking time. Her statement continues, quote, "As a mother, my concern is for the children. I ask for compassion, respect, and privacy as my children and I try to rebuild our lives and heal." She added, "I will have no further comment."
That's interesting. Is she going to speak publicly about this, or is this it? Also, her 17-year-old son, Patrick, tweeting, "Some days you feel like the S word. Some days you want to quit and just be normal for a bit, yet I love my family till death do us part." And this tweet coming from the Schwarzenegger's oldest daughter, Catherine. "This is definitely not easy, but I appreciate your love and support as I begin to heal and move forward in my life. I will always love my family."
What do you think of the way that Arnold and Maria have handled this situation? It's our question of the day. Here are some of your responses. Joey Rivera on Facebook says they handled things okay. I wonder why he's making things public. Was his mistress threatening to expose him?
And Tom 951, "She made a great statement. Hope the media respects her and hounds him."
And Annette says, "Glad they got it out in the open. Maria did the right thing by moving out. I certainly would. I'm sure Arnie is going to be in the doghouse for a long time."
There were other people that were upset about that who said, why should she have to move out? You know, why does she have to uproot her life?
Well, she's trying to start over, and she's making it clear that I'm not living in this home, and I'm starting a new life.
And also, Maria has, this is another tweet coming to us. Maria has come out of this with poise and confidence. Arnold just comes out looking dense.
All right, pressure is mounting on the head of the International Monetary Fund to step down after his arrest on charges of trying to rape a maid at a New York hotel. Dominique Strauss-Kahn was supposed to be giving a speech before an economic forum in Brussels today. He's not giving a speech.
No, instead he is holed up at Rikers Island. Now they're taking some extra security precautions. The guards are, we're learning. Deb Farrick is here with more on this. You know, a lot was being made of the fact that he's under suicide watch.
Right, exactly. Think about it. This is a man who was supposed to be meeting this week with world financial leaders to discuss Europe's debt crisis and bailout. But after the humiliating perp walk that you see there, which has outraged the French, who call it illegal, officials at Rikers have now put Dominique Strauss-Kahn on suicide watch. It doesn't mean he's suicidal, but guards do check on him about every 15 minutes, which prison officials say they do anyway because he's in an isolated ward and there are fewer cameras monitoring what's going on there. Now, his accuser, the hotel housekeeper, she's set to testify before the grand jury today. That's according to her lawyers speaking on a morning show. She told police Strauss-Kahn grabbed her moments after she entered the luxury suite at the Sofitel Hotel. His lawyers, not talking about their client, who's a revered global finance executive, they've said that forensic evidence will show that the encounter was not forced and that if indicted, he will plead not guilty. When we asked the lawyer for the